Okay, I'm going to show how to assemble this Propel Pro 2.0 operator. So pretty simple. The operator comes in this box with 3 pieces of rail included. Hardware boxes, I'm going to put them off to the side and do the rail assembly first. Instruction manual. So the sleeves slide onto the rail, one on each side. The motor is already in the rail and the chain is already in the motor. I'm going to take these pieces of rail and put one on each side. Now in this case we have a 15-foot wide door, so we're adding additional rail extensions, which are here in the white boxes. I'm going to add a rail extension on either end. It's important that you start from the center and work your way out. So if you have only one rail extension, you can just put it on one end, but if you got multiples, then they should go on either end so that the magnetic isolators can be spread out evenly. Every rail extension, we're installing the rail extensions on this operator because we have a 15-foot door. So every rail extension includes a connecting sleeve, a length of rail, a sealing bracket, which I'm going to remove, sliding it off the end. We have a length of chain, a master link, and a magnetic isolator. We're going to assemble the rail extension. So the connecting sleeve goes on the same way that it went on the main part of the rail, and then the other length of rail slides until it hits. We're going to leave the magnetic isolator and the sealing bracket for assembly later. So we're going to assemble this length of chain. You got the master link, Okay, so this is the hardware box that we're going to use to complete assembly of the rail. This is the connector wire, and this can go into either end of the rail depending on which side has your power supply. But the important thing to remember is that this red limit stop has to be in the open position. It cannot be in the closed position. In this case, we have a receptacle on the wall on the open side, which means I'm going to install the connector wire on the open side. Make sure it matches your chain orientation. If I was installing it on the other side, I would have to flip it over and install it like this. But on this side, the chain is offset to my right. So I'm going to install it here, slide it in, take the chain, spin it 90 degrees, slide it into the rectangular slot, spin it back, and it locks into place. So this is the hardware bag. I'm going to take this tensioner out to tighten the chain at the other end. I'm going to explain how this works a little bit. Typically you don't have to disassemble this, but I'm taking the bolt out to show you how it works. When you tension the chain, it pulls against this spring, so it compresses the spring, and the chain should always be tensioned until the edge of the bolt goes to the arrow on the plastic part. So when you're looking at it with your socket on there, you actually just take the end of your socket to the plastic part of the arrow. So here it's the same thing. I have to match my chain orientation. So if I was installing it on the other end, it would go like this, but on this end, it has to go, the tensioner has to go to my left. So it matches the chain orientation. So slide it in, again, spin the chain 90 degrees, slide it into the slot, spin it back. Might have to loosen that bolt a little bit. Nope. And then use a 13mm socket and tighten this down until the end of my socket is at the arrow. And the chain tension is the same regardless whether it's a 6-foot door or a 20-foot door, regardless whether it's a 1,000-pound door or a 100-pound door. So next step is install the magnetic isolators. Before I do that, I want to take this red limit stop and slide it all the way down to the end so that it's not in the way for my magnetic isolators. Then I'm going to open up the magnetic isolator kit. So the magnetic isolators, you can see they've got magnets in them, but they're actually two identical pieces that just mirror and snap into each other with these little hooks that hook onto the outside part of the chain. So what I do is I go about halfway from the motor carriage to the end of the rail, so I'm split. Let it suck up against the rail, move it sideways so it aligns with my outside part of the link. Slide it in place. Let this one suck up against the rail, match it to the other one, and push them together. Now when I pull the chain off the rail, the magnetic isolator comes with it. That's the way it should install. So this is the sealing bracket that ships with the operator in the box. It's disassembled. I'm going to show you how it works. It's the same as the magnetic isolator. It's two identical pieces that just mirror and slide into each other. But first I have to install the bolts because they go from the inside. Push them in, and there's little plastic pieces that hold them in place. Then I take it apart to install it on the rail. I'm going to install this one at the open end. Slide one half onto the rail, make sure it's pushed in. Slide the other half onto the rail, make sure you're pushing toward the rail on both sides, and slide them together. Put these blocks in. These are spacers for the wider angle we use in the US, and they also lock the sealing bracket together so it can't come apart. So I'm going to install the second sealing bracket. I actually got an extra one because one comes with each rail extension, but I only need one center hang on this length of rail. So this is the one that ships with the sealing bracket, so I'm going to partially disassemble it so I can install it. I have to take the blocks off in order to install it. And then I'm going to move the motor carriage out of the way, so just pull the manual release cord, slide it away, and I'm going right in the middle of this rail. Same thing, slide it apart, make sure it's pushed together, make sure it's pushed, both pieces are pushed toward the rail, and slide them together. Then reinstall the plastic blocks, and on this one we're going to go ahead and install the L bracket that will be used to fasten it to the ceiling. And it's just partially assembled, not tightening it down till we get it up on the ceiling.